Well, for more on the challenges ahead for Joe Biden, we're joined now by Krish Vignarajah, who's a former official in the Obama administration, and Kelly Jane Torrance, a Canadian and conservative who sits on the editorial board of the New York Post. And let's start first with this moment from last night.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify, who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States.
Here's a question I'm going to put to both of you. You first, Kelly, though. What are the challenges ahead for Biden as he tries to be this unifying president?
Ian, that's a great question, because I think Biden has a lot of challenges ahead of him to unify this country. You have 70 million people in America who voted for Donald Trump. And I love that Biden is talking about unifying the country moving forward, but a lot of Democrats are talking a little differently. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a congresswoman here in New York, has talked about, and other Democrats have too, about a list. People who support Donald Trump are going to be on a list, and we're never going to forget that they support Donald Trump. That is not a unifying statement. And I see a lot of Democrats saying that everybody who voted for Donald Trump is a racist. This is also not a unifying statement. There are a lot of reasons to vote for Donald Trump besides his views on race. I think a lot of people voted because he had a booming economy before the pandemic, which in fact had record low unemployment numbers for Blacks and Hispanics. Mm-hmm. I worry. I think the country does need to unify. I'm not sure the Democrats are ready to do that. I hope that they listen to Joe Biden and, welcome anybody who voted for Donald Trump. But that's not what I'm seeing from the Democrats this week.
Yeah, so let me jump in, Krish, from the Democratic side of things. What about those challenges to unify and to do it without, I guess, pushing away all those people or many of those people who voted for Trump?
This is a theme that President-elect Biden has been striking, not just in his victory speech last night, but throughout the campaign. This is not just a cover he's put on now that he's the victor. And I think that's really important to highlight. When people talk about the Democratic Party and AOC and others, that's not who the Democratic Party is when we talk about the president-elect and the moment that we face right now. Vice President Biden is the fearless leader of the Democratic Party, and the tone he continues to strike is talking about healing. The challenges that he faces right now is bringing together a country when we have a common enemy that is far beyond the divides that we're talking about. We had record highs in terms of the pandemic, for example, an economic crisis. And that's why the country has to come together.
So we have about 2 minutes left. I'm going to ask each of you a question, but really we only have about a minute for the answer. And Kelly, let me start with you. We are hearing from very few prominent Republicans congratulating Biden, making it clear that they accept that this race is over. Why aren't we hearing from more?
It's a great question, Ian. And we have heard, for example, from George W. Bush, the last Republican president. But, here's the thing. Donald Trump still has a lot of legal challenges left. And people think it's driven only by Trump, but it's not. It's also his supporters. I have gotten messages from many Donald Trump supporters who are hoping he will exhaust all legal remedies because there have been some irregularities and people are concerned about that. Obviously, I think this election was won by Joe Biden and it's going to turn out that way. But Donald Trump supporters do feel that there were irregularities that have not been addressed. And so I think a lot of Republicans are reluctant to talk about it because they want Donald Trump to exhaust all those legal remedies. There doesn't need to be a rush. Obviously, if Joe Biden won, as it looks like he did, he will be the next president. So I think Republicans will recognize that, but they want Donald Trump to exhaust all of his legal remedies.
And Krish, there's an interpretation here that the reluctance of Republicans, prominent Republicans, to speak is because Trump has such a hold on the party, and even after he leaves the White House, will continue to have a hold on the party. We have less than a minute. Do you worry about that, the looming and continuing presence of Donald Trump?
Yeah, I do, because I know that, regardless of what President Trump chooses to do after he leaves the White House, Trumpism is going to continue to exist. And some number of those 70 million who voted for him are continuing, are going to continue to be politically active, which is great. It's important for our democracy to be as energized as what we've seen in the last few weeks. But I do fear that, part of why you're seeing some Republicans who have chosen not to speak is either because of fear of a backlash from Trump supporters or because they want to be opportunistic. The presidential candidates in the waiting on the Republican side, I think there are some number of them who believe that they don't want to ostracize, the voters who came out this election.
All right. Well, it's been a long week and it's a late night, and I really appreciate both of you talking with us. Krish Vignarajah and Kelly Jane Torrance, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ian.